All right, folks, welcome to Yak Math videos for your calculus exam number 3 review. All right, hopefully this video is not too shabby. Anyway, folks, I do plan on printing out these answers, giving you another one of these to take home and review. Here are the quick answers. First page, all about the easy derivatives. Nothing tricky here. All right, number 1, again, this is just the power rule on all those pretty quick derivatives, f prime of x. I would rewrite number 3 as that. Negative times a negative is a positive, 1 power less. All right, I would rewrite number 4 as that, and then bring down the power, 1 power less. Number 5 here, let's see, that was done a little bit quickly. Apologize for that. So this is the top. That's the bottom, and then that's how we get this. All right, the top has 1/2 is the power for x right there. And then when I do 5x divided by x to the third, that's 5x to the negative half. Then it's all about the power rule. Folks, that's how I'd rewrite number 6, just like that. Then multiply. Let's distribute, and let's take the derivative of that. There we go. All right, next page. Okay, here on number 7, what I did is I just multiplied through, used distribution, FOIL, FOIL, and I took the derivative. All right, here on number 8, that is the quotient rule, low d high minus high d low all over low squared. Okay, then yes, you have to simplify. Would you do that one in class? That's your final answer. Again, pause this whenever you need to, folks. Number 9, we have the quotient rule again, but divide out next, taking x away from everything. Then you have low d high minus high d low all over low squared. It does simplify nicely. The 3x's cancel. You're going to have 6 minus a negative 7, which is 6 plus 7, 13. Here on 10, I use distribution first. You can use the product rule and then distribute through again, and then I just took the derivative. All right, so that should be good. Did go through this a little bit quickly, so if there's any errors, let me know. Folks, 3 times the square root of x is 3x to the 1/2. All right, and then multiply that by 5x minus 3. I did not take the derivative yet, and then when I do, it's all about the power rule. That's my answer. Number 12, first off, that is x to the 1/2, so take 1/2 power, 1/2, an exponent of 1/2 away from each x. Minus 4 divided by the square root of x is negative 4 times x to the negative 1/2, and take the derivative of that, folks. Would not use the quotient rule. If you use the quotient rule, then you have to divide everything by x at the end. Let's take a look at some more difficult derivatives. I am going out of order a little bit. Here we have the product rule. We need to take the derivative of the first. So take the derivative of 4x squared, times it by the second, plus the first, times the derivative of the second. Some of us don't know how to take the derivative of natural log of x. It's 1 over what's inside this natural log times the derivative of what's inside. So times the derivative of 3x, which is 3. Those cancel. X squared over x is just x, and that 4 is on the outside. Guys, on 20, you take the derivative. This is, got a little bit of chain rule in there. This is the derivative of sine, which is cosine. Then 5x plus 3 pi fourths, and then take the derivative of 5x, which is 5. Put the 5 on the outside. We have the product rule. Take the derivative of the first, which is just, where you have pen, which is just x, times the second, plus the first, times the derivative of the second, which is e to the 2x, times the derivative of 2x, which is 2. 2 goes on the outside. Yes, you have to simplify. All right, you've taken algebra 2. Folks, I would rewrite f of x as such, then take the derivative from there. It's just the easy product rule. Guys, on 23, that is the definition of the chain rule, 1/2, and then all that to the negative 1/2 times the derivative of 7x squared minus 4x plus 11, which is 14x minus 4. 1/2 of that is 7x minus 2, which we see right there, and then times this to the negative 1/2. All right, take the derivative of secant x, which is secant x tan x, times tan x, plus secant x times the derivative of tan x, which is secant x squared, and then multiply together and combine. All right. Just rewrite it, and then it's literally the easiest of power rules. Folks, that is definitely the quotient rule. All right. Low d high minus high d low. 2x times 1/2 over here will cancel out the 2. X times x to the third is x to the fourth. And that's what we got. When you square root, the square root goes bye-bye. All right, take your time with that one. I believe you have like 16 to 18 derivatives like this tomorrow, okay? Or on Thursday for your quiz. And here we go, folks. We have the quotient rule again. Low times derivative of the top, low d high. When you take the derivative of negative cosine x, the derivative of cosine x is a negative sine x, but you already had the negative out there, which is attached to what you're taking the derivative of. Negative times a negative is a positive. Minus high, derivative of low is cosine x. Distribute that through. To subtract a negative is to add. Sine squared x plus cosine squared x is 1. All right, folks. I just did the chain rule. Brought down 2, and then wrote it as, you know. So bring down the 2, write that function, and then take the derivative of that function right there. 10x minus 3 times 2 is 20x minus 6. Then you have to distribute. All right, folks. When you take the derivative of natural log, it is 1 over what you're taking the natural log of times the derivative of what you're taking the natural log of. So derivative of cosine is negative sine 2x, and you take the derivative of 2x, which is 2. That's how it simplifies. You've seen that one before. It's literally almost the same exact question, only you're taking the derivative of sine x, which is cosine 3x times 3. 31 here, folks. You got the product rule. Take the derivative of the first times the second plus the first times the derivative of the second, which is cosine of 3x plus pi halves, and take the derivative of 3x, which is 3, and put it all together. And 32 again. So you have, forget how many of these, but you're going to have 18 of them total. I would divide away the x, then low d high minus high d low over low squared. 4x's cancel. There's your derivative. All right. So that's a good portion. That's like 70% of your test tomorrow, just taking derivatives like that. You're definitely going to have this question, folks. This is an easy question. All right, instantaneous velocity is just the derivative right there, just the derivative. So take the derivative, negative 32t plus 85, and you're literally just plugging in those times. You're going to get feet per second. You're plugging in those times into your derivative right there. All right, very easy question. Check my math there. Did that without a calc. This one, folks, we got the motion of a particle. Okay, so velocity is the derivative of speed, and acceleration is the second derivative of speed, or acceleration is the derivative of velocity. There we go. And if I want to find the acceleration after 2.5 seconds, I just plug 2.5 into my acceleration question. 138 feet per second squared, I believe. It's feet per second squared, right? Okay. Find the equation of the tangent line to the curve at the given point. Just take the derivative, 8x minus 3, and you plug in 2 for x, because it's going through 2, 10. And that's the slope. So then we write our equation as such. Take the derivative, plug -1 in for x. That's your slope. Write that equation, point slope form. X to the 1/2. Take the derivative of it. Guys, I would write it like this. That's going to be a lot easier to work with. Some of us made some errors when we're plugging in, 9 into something like this. Write it like that. X to -1/2 means 1 over x to the 1/2, which is the square root of x. There's a 2 at the bottom because it's 1/2. Plug 9 in for x. 2 times 3, 1/6 is the slope. Low d high minus high d low. We did this one in class. You get 7/9 as your slope. All right. Implicit differentiation, folks. You take the derivative of x squared, so 2x, plus take the derivative of y squared, which is 2y, then times y prime. We're trying to get y prime all by itself, equals the derivative of 36, just 0. So get y prime on one side, everything else on the other, divide both sides by 2. Y prime is negative x divided by y. Focus on 34 here. Take the derivative of 2x to the third, that's just 6x squared, plus the derivative of y squared is 2y y prime, plus, guys, you have the product rule because x and y are different variables there. So you're going to take the derivative of the first, 8x, which is just 8, times y, plus the first 8x, times the derivative of y, which is y prime. Let's get the y primes on one side. You could have divided everything by 2 right away. You're going to factor out the y prime, okay? Just algebra 2 here, folks. They both have a y prime factored out. You're left with 8x minus 2y. Divide both sides by that. I divided by 2 at the end. All right, that is 2 times x to the 1/2 plus y to the 1/2 is 5. Then take the derivative. The power rule here, 1/2 times 2 is just 1, and then 1 power less, plus 1/2 y to the negative 1/2, and then kind of like a chain rule, you have to take the derivative. You have to take the derivative of y, which is y prime. Here, the derivative of x is just 1, so there's no need to write it, okay? This does look a little bit weird, but again, as we saw before, x to the negative 1/2 means 1 over x to the 1/2, which is 1 over root x. Same thing with the 1/2 y to the negative 1/2. That's just 1 over 2y prime. I'm going to move 1 over root x to the other side. Guys, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal, which is 2 times root y. So that would go up top. That times negative 1 would be a negative 2 root y over root x. 37, folks. Take the derivative. All right, so I'm going to need the product rule here. Derivative of the first times the second plus the first times derivative of the second. All right, get the y primes on one side. Factor out the y prime and divide. 38 is pretty nuts, guys. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to give you something like 38. That's a little aggressive. I would definitely know how to do 37, 35, 33, 34. Guys, check my work, though. This, I believe, is the answer at the bottom there for 38. But again, right now, nothing that bad with the time we have on the test. All right, folks, that is it. That is your exam 3 video. This is Yak Math Videos signing out.